Okay, have we found our spot? Grab our water. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome. On behalf of the Lee's Summit Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to this evening's Lee's Summit City Mayor Candidate Forum. I am Matt Baird, President of the Lee's Summit Chamber of Commerce, and I'm so glad that you're here with us this evening. Also tonight, just like last week, we are recording live on Facebook, so we'll have people viewing from online as well, which is great. We are pleased and honored to have both of our candidates, Beto Lopez and Cynda Rader, with us tonight, as well as all of you. I want to express our appreciation to the Missouri Innovation Campus for allowing us to host this evening's event. I also want to thank the following members for helping sponsor this evening's forum: Life Goal Strategies Group, Rodney Loesch, Missouri Association of Trial Attorneys, St. Luke's Health System, and Tingle Flooring. When you came in this evening, you may have noticed on the table containing the candidate profile booklet, so hopefully you grabbed one. If not, there's still, I think, some in the lobby area, and I've got a couple extras if you want to grab one. So we printed 125, so I think we're good. The booklets provided information on each candidate with questions that they had been asked to answer previously, so you'll see those in the booklet. The forum is being, again, as I mentioned, streamed on Facebook tonight. Housekeeping items, as I mentioned, there is water. We've got 2 containers of water in the back, one to your right and to your left. The restrooms are through the doors and to your right. Please mute or vibrate your cell phones during the forum tonight. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our moderators for this evening's event, Jennifer Craig and Rick Vire. Both are past chairs of the Chamber's Government Relations Committee. Each one is also a longtime member of the Chamber of Commerce and active volunteers in Lee's Summit. And with that, I'll turn it over to Rick Vire.
Great, thank you, Matt. Welcome, and thank you again for joining us this evening. Before we begin, I would like to outline tonight's format for you. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening remarks. We will begin in alphabetical order, finishing in reverse order for final remarks if time allows. After each candidate's opening comments, we will begin the question and answer segment. Questions have been generated by members of the Lee's Summit Chamber of Commerce and you, the audience. There are index cards on the table in the hall, and if you would like to submit a question, please do so. Joe Snook, raise your hand, please. Joe will be gathering those questions on our behalf. Candidates should limit their answers to 90 seconds or less. Both the opening remarks and the answers to the questions will be timed. Once your time has elapsed, please be considerate, honor the allotted time, and finish speaking. And by the way, we learned last week it's very helpful if you keep the microphone right in front of your mouth. If time permits, at the end of this forum, each candidate shall have 2 minutes for any closing remarks. Finally, I have to read this last instruction, although it would be challenging to find 2 more collegial candidates than these 2. But we ask respectfully that you focus on answering the specific questions. Those who choose to make personal attacks will be warned. A candidate warned a 3rd time will be asked to leave and dismissed from the forum. Now the opening remarks segment. So in alphabetical order, we will start with Beto Lopez and his opening remarks. Mr. Lopez?
Thank you, judges. Thank you, Chamber, for putting the event together. And thank you all for being engaged and being here. I guess I'll start off by just telling you a little bit about myself. My wife and 2 daughters are here. Vanessa and I have lived here. In July, it'll be 30 years. 30 years in July, we are 30th anniversary. So we'll get through this process and then figure out what we're doing for our trip to celebrate. But we do have 3 daughters that we raised in this community. That was the reason why we moved here, because of the quality of life and the expectations of what it would be like to raise a family here. And I'm sure that's the reason why a lot of you choose to live here. But I have my oldest daughter, who's not with us tonight. Super proud of all 3 girls. She's a first-year resident at University Health in Lakewood in the family medicine group. My second daughter is a teacher in the Blue Springs School District. And my youngest daughter, Sophia, is going off to PA school in Iowa here in a couple months. So Vanessa and I are super proud of their accomplishments, and that has always been our top priority, is our family. And that's why I chose to do this elected role. And I think here in less than a month, on April 7th, you all, as voters, and those that are watching and those that are not here, will have to make a choice. You have to make a choice on who you think the next best qualified person would be to be the next mayor of Lee Summit. And I guess the three things that I'll focus on of why I think makes me unique and makes me the most qualified is experience. Proven record of experience and leadership in our community, specifically in this city, is what I think gives me an edge over my opponent. And 8 years on city council, 4 years on planning commission. And one of the things I'm most proud of from being on council is that I've served all 8 years on the finance and budget committee. And just making sure that our community continues to stay economically sound and strong. And that's very important to me in public safety, fire and police, helping our fire and police in our streets, infrastructure, and smart and responsible economic development. That's what I stand for.
Good evening, everyone, and I want to thank the Chamber for sponsoring this event and all of you to be here. My two sons are here with me tonight, so I'm glad that they're here, and so many friends and loved ones. So I moved to... Am I okay? Okay, I moved to Lee Summit in 1975. My husband came home from work one day and he said, I bought a house in Lee Summit, start packing. And I said, can I look at it first before we move in? And we laughed. But anyway, I had always wanted to live in Lee Summit. I came from Independence, so I couldn't have been more excited to be here. Once my children started school, I had children, I joined the PTA, and I got very involved with the teachers, the admin. It was a wonderful experience. I loved it because I got to be involved. I got to see the kids growing and things happening, and I really enjoyed volunteering. In 1992, after a tragedy in our family, I found myself a single mother. I had to get a job, so I started in real estate. I started the Cynda Real Estate Company, and for the last 32 years, I have sold thousands of homes to people in this community, and it's been a joy. I did it because we had wonderful schools, and we have beautiful homes, neighborhoods here. Along the way, I became a small business owner, a home builder, a developer, and I published a book on how to grow in a successful real estate business. I even became an auctioneer for a short period of time. Chanting is hard. Looks easy, not hard. It is hard. My involvement with the city began in 2014, serving on the Tax Review Board and the Water Utilities Board. I joined the Planning Commission in 2010 and now City Council. Those experiences have taught me a better understanding of how our city works. Thank you.
Thank you both for your opening remarks. As a reminder, candidates, please make sure you hold the mic as close to your mouth as possible so that our listeners can hear online. We will now move into the question and answer segment. Audience members, if you have not already submitted your questions, please do so now. We will start with Cynda Rader and the first question. The mayor makes decisions that impact every aspect of our city and affect each stakeholder, business entity, educational partner, not-for-profit, and service organization. As mayor, what will be your primary community role?
Okay, so, I mean, as the mayor, I feel like you are, first of all, you're the cheerleader for the city. Our city manager runs the city. And as the mayor, you have to be able to have relationships with people, be able to have partnerships with people. And of course, it's going to be all new, but as I have stated before, the first thing that I plan on doing is getting with our city manager and understanding what has to be done in the first 6 months that I'm going to be here. But yes, being able to have relationships with all of our partners is important, and that's something that I've been very good at in my career. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes, so I've had the fortunate opportunity to have served as mayor pro tem as well, the entire 8 years that I've been on city council. And that role itself and the duties that are assigned and working closely with the mayor and some of the city leadership has, I think, provided me the opportunity to get a glimpse of what it would be like to be mayor. Not only do I focus, and I've always represented my 3rd district to the best of my abilities, very responsive to my constituents, but as Mayor Pro Tem, I've learned a lot about the issues across the entire city. And it's given me opportunities to serve on boards like the Mid-America Regional Council Board, all 8 years that I've been on city council. And it's not just people within our city that see me as a leader, but in that role, I was just named as a chair of the MARC board here recently by mayors and council and elected people from all over the Kansas City region. So they see some leadership qualities and trust qualities in me. And as mayor, I think here in our community, we need to continue to engage all of our community partners, work with the city manager. The mayor is the direct liaison to the city manager, and as a convener of the council, runs the council meetings. But you also have to listen and engage and make sure you build good collaboration with your council and all community partners, and most importantly, the residents. So I've always been very engaging to our residents, and as mayor, that won't change.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Lopez first. How would you, as mayor, address recent challenges to identify sustainable, long-term revenue solutions to fund city employee wage enhancements, stormwater projects, parks programs, and overall continued economic development?
They were more of a challenge 8 years ago. What we've accomplished the last 8 years is growing our revenue and our budget from 60 million to 100 million. And that's because we were very strategic in following the citizen-led and implemented strategic plan. It wasn't my idea or any council person or the mayor's idea. It was the citizens that put this plan together. So using that as our guide is how we've been able to very strategically and very responsibly grow our community. And the way you sustain that is by growing your tax base. In order to keep up with all the infrastructure and all the public safety challenges with fire and police, which is so competitive, that industry is so competitive, that the only way you do that is by increasing your tax revenue. And we've done it. And I will continue to focus on that. If the strategic plan, we reach a point where the goals that were set there, we've reached them, then the smart, practical thing to do is reevaluate. And I would do that collectively with our council and citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rader?
Do you mind repeating that question, please?
How would you, as mayor, address recent challenges to identify sustainable, long-term revenue solutions to fund the city employee wage enhancements, stormwater projects, parks programs, and overall continued economic development?
Well, I think that it's really important to understand how our budget works. And I believe that we're going to have to do some work with that. I think we're going to have to do some, our budget is coming up in June. So we're definitely going to have to take a hard look at it because we're getting budget cuts from the state. And I believe that, we have been in negotiations with fire and police, and it has created a situation that we're going to have to definitely look at. So it is a job with city manager and city council to be able to take a really hard look on how we're going to manage that money and be able to pay for all the things that are coming. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will start with Ms. Rader. Our Lee Summit City Charter requires the mayor to vote on each issue along with every city council member. What is your leadership style to resolve conflict resolution, criticism, and disagreements to achieve collaboration?
That's a great question. Thank you. So I am of the mind that you can get a lot more out of people if you respect what they say, understand their perspectives, that you honor them and respect them. And everybody has different feelings and thoughts and perspectives about things. So it's very important to build relationships. You have to have relationships with people in order to get things done. So I would say that the biggest thing is just allowing people to express themselves and listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
Yeah, so I'll just keep repeating that going back to 8 years ago, the environment, many of you that have been engaged in our community know that the environment within the city was very different than it is now. From the elected elected environment, there was a lot of stalled projects, a lot of initiatives that just were not moving forward. And so I was part of that culture change that came into that city in City Hall. As Mayor Pro Tem, the mayor challenged me to meet with every one of our council representatives, our colleagues, and get together and understand what their goals and objectives were and what their perspectives was on where they saw our city go. And for all 8 years, every 2 years, the council changes. So I would continue to do what I've done all 8 years, is continue to engage and allow people to collaborate. Listen is a really big thing for me, and follow through with what I lead by example. And I'm a servant leader as well. I would never ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And so that's what I would continue to do as mayor.
Great, thank you. Mr. Lopez, you will have the next question first. The City of Lee Summit's charter also provides the city manager the authority and responsibility for the operations of the city. How would you describe the relationship between the city manager and the mayor?
The city manager and the mayor's role, you have to be completely succinct. And as I said earlier, the mayor is the direct liaison from council, from a group of council members with the city manager. And so for me, I've always had, even with our previous city manager and our current city manager, I've always had a great working relationship. And it's, again, one that we have to understand if there are differences of opinion, just to be respectful. But he runs the city. As council and mayor, we govern the city, but he executes on what the citizens want and what the policies that the city council and the mayor are putting together. So we work very closely, and I think that relationship has to be very close so that we can impact all the departments throughout the whole city. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Rader?
I think it's really important for the mayor and of course, the city manager to have a great relationship. But I think that you have to empower people. So you have to be able to let people go out on their own and show that they have the leadership. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is that what I've seen is that we need more of that. We need more of that at the mayor and city manager level. I mean, we want to have good relationships. We want to get things done. That's how you get things done. But you've got to let people lead. And I think that's important for the mayor to recognize that everyone has their place, and you have to let the city manager, be able to lead. Thank you.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll start with Ms. Rader. What would you identify as the biggest opportunity facing our city today, and how would you capitalize on it?
Well, I think everybody knows that probably our biggest opportunity is going to be the Mormon land, the PRI land that's coming, and it's going to be a very, very important, daunting situation, and we're going to have to do it right. Now, there's already plans in place for that, but the one thing that I would caution is that there's 4,000 acres of land there. That's a whole other city. And so it's going to be extremely important for us to make sure that we have things in place to be able to grow. I guess I'll add here really quick that it's really also important that we do something a little different than we've done in the past, and that's make sure that we have our infrastructure in place before we start putting in lots of development. I mean, it's important that we aren't playing catch up with the PRI land. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
Yeah, so from my perspective, the biggest challenge for our community is that, if most of you are not aware of, I know you see a lot of housing and multifamily and stuff grow in our community, being constructed in our community. We are the fastest growing city in the state of Missouri. We're the 6th largest city in the state of Missouri, and 2 cities that are ahead of us with populations over 100,000 are declining in population. Ours are swinging up. So from my perspective, the most important thing is to be prepared for that population growth. And the way you do that is by having a strong tax base, by continuing our economic policies that are working. When you grow from 60 million to 100 million in 8 years, most cities around us would love to do that. We're a model city. They would love to do what we're doing. They don't have the robust tax base that we do. So we need to continue to do that to continue to meet the population need, the growth that's happening with our fire and police, our roads. We have more road improvement projects than most cities around us. Most cities would love to have that opportunity. For us, some people are, most of the complaints we get are the road construction projects, which is kind of a good problem. And so we need to continue that, but we have to keep growing our tax base. And I would continue the same plan. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez first on the next question. There has been significant debate recently in our community about multifamily homes in general and apartment complexes in particular. Are we in or out of alignment with single-family home construction, and what is the basis for your position?
So again, I'll stick to what, it's not my perspective or one council person or the mayor's position. We have followed a plan that the citizens had a lot of input in. They wanted to see a mixed array of housing types, including other commercial type, and we were very strategic about that. And that plan, we're growing so fast, we finished it in 2020, and I think we've probably reached the limit of the goals that were set in that plan regarding multifamily. So the logical, pragmatic thing to do is stop, reevaluate, and change if we need to, or modify it if we need to. So just because the plan is a guide, plans in any environment, in business environments, are no different than a business plan. They're used as a guide, and you can modify those. And I think that's where we're at with our city. 8 years ago, we were behind in multifamily. I think we've caught up. So I would sit down with the council and city administrators and include residents to come up with a modified plan.
Thank you. Ms. Rader?
We are out of alignment with our housing. And everyone knows when they look around our community that we have a lot of apartments that have been built. We can go by the comprehensive plan, we can go by the numbers of the comprehensive plan, and if we do that, using the categories 1, 2, and 3, they will tell you that we were at 15% of multifamily in 2020, and we are now, according to my calculations, and using the calculations of city staff, we're around 17 or 18% of our multifamily. So we've got to work on bringing single-family home ownership back into the mix of our housing mix in order to get us back balanced. We know that housing has been the bedrock of Lee Summit, and it should continue to be there. And so it's not that multifamily is bad, we just have enough right now. We don't need any more. We need to focus on getting other kinds of housing back in, missing middle, duplexes, senior housing, those types of things. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will start with Ms. Rader. What is the best decision or favorable vote our city council has made in the past 12 months?
Oh, gosh. Well, you know what? Last night we had a developer that came through that brought something that I was pretty happy about. You know, we've been talking about bringing single family into our community again. And Griffin Riley brought us a nice little project that's going to have 233 single-family homes. There's going to be a mix of senior family in there and other multifamily townhomes. So I would say if I'm looking at, you know, trying to achieve more home ownership, that would be one thing, just thinking quickly about something that I thought was a good decision that we made last night. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez.
I think the last 12 months, there's been a lot of high-profile projects that have been feel-good kind of stories in our community, like the opening of Green Street Marketplace that was opened here the last 12 months. There's been a lot of road improvements that have been very badly needed, key arterial roads like Colburn Road, Ward Road, 3rd Street. Those are more infrastructure, but I think it's more of a fundamental question to answer that, or a fundamental response. I think for me, it's kind of boring, but some of the most impactful things we've done the last 12 months is that we've continued to reprioritize our community improvement, or our capital improvement plan. To me, that's more critical to continue to meet the growth. And we continue to pivot and evolve and meet the needs of what the city is requiring as we continue to build more development. The development we've had has not been done in a vacuum. It's been done very strategically in targeted areas that included a mixed use of different development. That has included apartments. That's the only density we're creating is in these specific areas, not in the entire city. And so I think that's really important to just focus on the fundamentals for us to continue to grow.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez first on the next question. Many beneficial Lee Summit development projects are in the strategic, master planning, and due diligence phase, including the 4,500 acres PRI plans to release in 5 tranches for commercial, multifamily, and single family. What is your role as mayor to ensure these projects come to fruition, including the judicious use of incentives?
Absolutely. The initial response to that is we need to make sure we hold the developers accountable and make sure they complete what they propose to build for our city. And in order to do that, there's also a lot of infrastructure challenges in and around some of these development sites. If the PRI land, the church land, is going to be developed, we have some challenges with 291 and 470. On 50 Highway, we've got a lot of development going on along that corridor as well. So as mayor, we need to continue to enhance the infrastructure and continue to work with our state partners, our elected representatives at the state capitol in Missouri. And I've been part of delegations that have gone the last 5-6 years to Jeff City and have brought back resources for some of these infrastructure improvements, but also to Washington, D.C. A couple of us council members are heading back up there next week to go meet with our elected representatives in Washington, D.C., like Congressman Graves, head of the transportation, to bring some of those resources back to our area to help us improve some of these major roads that are going to help and enhance some of these development areas. So we definitely need to hold the developers accountable, but continue to improve the infrastructure around all of these sites so it's not dangerous area traffic-wise for our citizens. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Rader?
So, you know, the mayor helps lead the council, and it's really important with this PRI land that we develop it carefully and prudently, because right now they're going to be requesting incentives to help with infrastructure, and it's you know, we can't outspend ourselves. It is going to cause traffic issues, infrastructure issues. I mean, the highways, we're already crowded now. So it is going to be something that I believe that we're going to need to vet carefully, very carefully going into it, and not just have a developer come in and say, here, we're going to put this here, but to really be diligent in our decisions and how we spend that money, because that's taxpayer money, incentives. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have our first question from the audience, and Ms. Rader, we will begin with you. The question is, our firefighters and police are committed to public safety. As mayor, what will you do to acknowledge their work and ensure that our community maintains the best and most professional public safety officers?
So I'm just going to tell you this. I have a love affair with our police and fire. They have helped my family on many occasions, and so they are very important to me. We have to have a safe city. If we don't have a safe city, people won't come here. So, of course, it is critical that we continue to support our police and fire and give them what they need. They can't support us if we don't support them. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez?
So once again, I'll lean on my actual experience and being involved in leadership roles that 8 years ago, again, the environment in our city was very different. We were losing firefighters and police officers left and right to surrounding communities because that industry, like most industries, are very competitive with compensation. So 8 years ago, we were able to come up with a solution. And every 2-3 years, we have to renegotiate these agreements with our represented groups. So what I would do as mayor to make sure we get ahead of that is do what they do in the private sector and work with our city administrator and the city manager, is do some forecasting with our budget. With new projects that are coming online that are going to create a lot of tax revenue with no risk, the city has not guaranteed any of these bonds. So I think the mayor needs to understand economic development programs to really fully understand the impact that they have. They're stimulating the economy in these project areas to create more tax revenue. The city in 8 years has never written a check to any developer. I guarantee you that. And I would never support that. Like other communities have guaranteed TIF bonds. We've never done that. So in order to keep up with our fire and police and how competitive that environment is we need to continue to find ways to create revenue, tax revenue to support that.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez first on the next question. As mayor, what is, as mayor, what is City Council's role to collaborate with our LSR7 school district, and what is your position regarding the question on April 7 ballot asking voters to approve a full waiver of the district's Proposition 7 rollback?
Well, obviously, the city itself is a totally different jurisdiction than the school system. However, what we've done the last 8 years, and I would continue to do that, is be super engaged with our school board and our school administrators. We meet twice per year and have a collaborative joint session. And the big thing the big takeaway from those sessions is that one thing we do have in common, even though there's two different jurisdictions, is that we share the same brand, Lee Summit. And we're all very proud of that. And as mayor, absolutely we need to collaborate with our school district. And as far as the tax, 100% we need to support that. In full disclosure, I live in a different school district, so that doesn't impact me personally, but I encourage all citizens in Lee Summit to support the tax, because it keeps, just like our firefighters and police officers, it keeps our school district competitive for our teachers. For our teachers, that industry is so competitive. Teachers are leaving our school districts left and right as well, so we need to stay competitive. So I would support it.
Thank you. Ms. Rader, same question.
Thank you. Of course, yes, the school district is a different jurisdiction, but we're still partners with the school district. They're very important to actually the health of our economy here, because people come a lot to Lee Summit because of our schools. But I have always supported teachers, and will continue to support teachers. And I think that Prop C is a decision that the taxpayers have to make. And if they feel that they can do it and they can afford it, then they should go forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Rader. How does Lee Summit continue to position itself as a regional center for arts, entertainment, and culturally rich opportunities for residents and visitors?
Oh, we don't talk about this a lot, but we have the Lee Summit Symphony. It was one of the jewels of our city. I'm actually a board member of Lee Summit Symphony, and I think we're very rich in culture here. I think we have theater, and we have a tourism department, and we have all kinds of things that a lot of cities don't have. So I think that we're very rich in those things, and I'm proud that we have them. And I think that's another way for people to be attracted to come to Lee Summit. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Lopez.
Yes, I would agree that in our community, we don't do a good enough job of promoting our arts. And we have an amazing arts community in Lee Summit. And as mayor, I would 100% support every one of those initiatives. And even our historical society. If you all have not been to the museum downtown, I encourage you to go. We relocated here from another community, but I've been here 30 years, and I don't spend enough time in there. And we need to continue to support the legacy and the history of this community. And the arts is a big component. And every one of the public projects that we've been involved with as city council since I've been on the city council has had an art component, some kind of art component. And I will continue to advocate for that. Private development, we really don't have as much control over, but we still encourage private developers to have architecture as part of their development. So, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez? According to Lee Summit Police Chief Travis Forbes in his recent presentation to City Council, overall crime in each category reduced 13.5% between fiscal year in 2024 and fiscal year in 2025. What should be City Council's role and strategy to continue this positive trend?
We need to continue to support our law enforcement officers 100% for the reasons I've mentioned here several times already. But not only just their salaries and their compensation and benefits, but the resources they use, the gear that they wear. Nowadays technology is becoming a big kind of component of law enforcement. drones. You're seeing drones for our firefighters and police officers, body gear, body cameras. And that's what we've done. We've done that. And so absolutely, that's something we need to continue to focus on. And one other thing, as far as public safety and law enforcement specifically, I sit on many different civic boards across the Kansas City area. One that I'm super proud of is I sit on the Kansas City, Missouri Police Board Foundation. And that's a private way of raising money, not using government money, taxpayers' money, to raise money to provide more resources to our law enforcement. And I'll announce it tonight. I'm going to work with our police leadership, and I'm going to make an extension of that foundation in Lee Summit to continue to support our police department.
Thank you. Ms. Rader?
Thank you. I couldn't have been happier when that report came out that crime had gone down, because the year before, property crime had gone up. So I think that was a result, I know it is, of some of the technology that we've been able to put forward, or police department has, and that's been the drones, the license plate readers. And I think the other thing too is that maybe a lot of people don't know, some people, but we have a couple of police officers that go around to the different HOAs and do town hall meetings with them, and they inform them of how you can better protect yourself. You know, locking your doors and making sure that if you have a gun in your car that you can lock the car before you leave. So I think it's also citizen awareness that is important, that the police have been putting forward and promoting. Thank you.
Thank you. Audience members, I'd like to remind you, if you have questions, there's still time to submit those, and cards are available back in the back. Our next question, we will start with Ms. Rader. It is 4 years from today, and you have just completed your term as Lee Summit Mayor. What is your biggest source of pride and something you might have done differently?
Well, since I was on Planning Commission, I have been talking about housing. I saw what was coming, and I would say that in 4 years, I would like to say that we are bringing this community back to home ownership, that we are bringing in developers that want to partner with us, and I hope I don't have any regrets. I probably will, but I can't think of any right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
Yeah, I think we obviously, housing is an issue that needs to be addressed. It must be addressed. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So I would make sure, and one of the other things I would like to implement is a housing task force that would include citizen involvement and city administrators and some council representatives, so that we can collectively, all of us together, figure out a solution. Housing is a problem across the country. Lee Summit's not unique to that. I think most of us recognize that, but we can still be better. And so I would definitely focus on housing, but I think it's also important that these current projects that are under construction that are going to impact our tax generation, we need to make sure those come to fruition. And also, never, ever, ever forget downtown. Downtown, people from all over the metro come to our downtown. There's a lot of special downtowns in the region, but ours is the best. And there's a master plan for downtown as well. We're not even halfway done with it. And Green Street, we're not done with Green Street, the marketplace. When you all see what's coming in the next few months, it's gonna blow your socks off. So we need to continue to complete all the plan downtown. There's water and flooding issues downtown. We need to continue to address that, and that's part of the plan. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rader? Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't answer. I'm sorry. I ain't got to get on my game. All right, Mr. Lopez, you're first on this question. Why or why not do you believe partisan politics, which would be Democrat, Republican, or independent, should be allowed in local political races like city council, school board, and mayor?
The simple, quick response to that is, I was not involved when that piece of language was put into our charter. So our charter does not permit that. So I don't think that has a place in our community. There's enough issues on a national level that we don't need to bring to our local level. And I have people that represent all kinds of different sides. And at the end of the day, we just care about what happens here in our community. I've never, ever in 8 years made a partisan decision at our city council on our dais. And so I think we stick to the charter and what the citizens wanted back then. I think it's worked well for us.
Ms. Rader, same question.
Thank you. I think that, yes, our charter does dictate that we are nonpartisan. However, we're in different times today. And as I travel around walking the streets, and I think probably all of us as candidates do, we get asked all the time, what are you? Which side of the aisle do you lean? And I always say that I'm nonpartisan, but they press you. So it's just like, here's my thought on this. It's just like, I mean, we all lean one way or the other, even though we try to stay in the middle, because this is municipal issues. The state and the federal level don't really impact what we do here. But people want to know, because especially if you're starting out in your journey through politics and you want to grow and go on to something else. I don't. But it starts here, and people want to know who you are and what you stand for. So it's a really hard thing. I don't know that I would love it to be that way, but I think we're heading in that direction.
Thank you. Next, we have another question from our audience, and we will start with Ms. Rader. The city operates with a budget surplus. Do you believe some of those resources should be deployed for city employee wage increases, considering the cost of living pressures they face?
I'm going to say that I believe that that's really, I want to say that I think it's really a question for our council. I don't know that I want to make that decision about whether that could be happened, since we're very specific on how we spend our money in our budget and how it's designated. So I would say at this point that I would like to pose that to the council as a group before I would commit to something. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Lopez.
Yeah, so again, I keep going back. Context is really important. 8 years ago, the fund balance was growing with no control, and we couldn't keep up with our fire and police officers. So thankfully, we were strategic and pragmatic, and we implemented a low reserve balance and a high. Anything below it is not good. Anything above it, then we use to go back into the city general fund. So that's a very strategic, very smart perspective on how you deal with that. And absolutely, if there's a surplus, because we still have to protect our AAA bond rating, but if there's a surplus, absolutely, let's put it back for our employees. That's important, and other resources in our community.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez, why do you believe you are prepared as the best candidate for Lee Summit's mayor as we continue to face unique opportunities and challenges?
As I said earlier, Lee Summit, because we're growing so fast, it's a very dynamic, very complex environment that we live in. And it's easy to say you're against this and for that, but as mayor, you have to understand the holistic picture of our community. You have to understand how all the plans work together, economic development incentives, how to deal with our community partners, how to deal with new development projects that are coming online. And again, it's a competitive environment. It's easy. There's not only in law enforcement and firefighters, but other communities are stealing our staff. So if we don't grow, we die. And so I think that's what we need to continue to focus and have a vision down the road, a bigger vision.
Thank you. Ms. Rader, same question.
Do you mind repeating that, please?
Why do you believe you are prepared as the best candidate for Lee Summit mayor as we continue to face unique opportunities and challenges?
I believe that I'm prepared because, first of all, I've run a small business. I've worked with people. I've worked with all kinds of personalities. Yes, we are a holistic community, and we do have community partners that are important to be able to work with. I really think that as I look at the direction that we're going, I believe that we need to pivot our direction, and I think we need new perspectives. I think we need new leadership. I think we need people in leadership that listen to what our community is saying. They pay attention, and they realize that that is important. These are our taxpayers, and I think we can get so caught up in the logistics of what goes on in the city, we forget that it's the people that make the city up. And I feel like I am very prepared to be able to lead. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will start with Ms. Rader. What is Lee Summit's ideal balance between multifamily housing and single-family residences? And what is your definition of affordable housing with your proposed solution to provide?
So we developed the Ignite plan in 2020, and we all know that was during COVID. Things have changed. I will tell you that I'm not totally sure. I mean, I know we did it during the Ignite plan, but when I look back on it, it's just like, why did we do 65% of single family when it was, we've always been predominantly single family, and then we began to grow the multifamily apartments. I mean, I understand that they did it because they thought it would increase our tax base, but I just feel like that, as I said before, I believe we're out of balance. I think we need to increase our single family, we need to get back into home ownership, and then we need to, I think that will balance things out for us, and it will continue to increase our tax base when we begin to bring more jobs and business opportunities into our community. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez.
Yeah, our housing plan and the Ignite plan, again, is a guide. It's not the end-all be-all, like in any environment, just like a business plan. It's a guide. And so guides, plans like that need to be tweaked here and there. And so the reality is, this is the real reality. There has been balanced growth of homes. We had more single-family home permits in Lee Summit than Overland Park did last year. That's pretty telling. Now, when it comes to affordable homes in the lower 300s, that's the market dictating that. As a council, we've done everything we could to try to ease some of that by reducing lot sizes, by lessening some of the fees for the builders, but that's not enough. And at the end of the day, it's the supply, the labor costs, the material costs, that's market driven. We can do as much as we can, and we'll continue to explore that. I said that when I form a task force, excuse me, but we need to continue to revise that plan, but we've tried. It's not that we have not tried, and we are building single-family homes. The past 2 weeks, I think it was alluded to a few minutes ago, we've developed, or we've approved some very, very mixed type use of projects, home projects in the south part of the city, which it's exactly what we're talking about. It's different array of type of housing, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez, this is a question submitted by a member of the audience. Why should young people and mid-career professionals vote for you?
Because I want my daughters to stay here in Lee Summit. They fall in that category. How about as simple as that? And I know a lot of you have children as well, young adult children or grandchildren. And the decisions we make now, this next mayor and the council are going to make now, the reality is we may not even ever see the fruition of that. So the decisions we're making is for the future. And absolutely, the quality of life, the things that have brought all of us here, amazing park systems, the safe community, we feel like we're safe here. Does crime kind of fluctuate a little bit? Probably. And it's very complicated for our law enforcement to really gauge all that. We have the proper measures in place to support them. So what I would advocate for is absolutely to keep maintaining that quality of life, keep improving in our infrastructure so we don't leave a burden for the future generations. And I think that's really important as the next mayor and the council.
Thank you. Ms. Rader, why should young people and mid-career professionals vote for you?
Well, there are a lot of people that are young professionals that have come here to live in our apartments. And they may not want to live there forever. There may be a time when they want to be able to own a home and start a family. So I know I keep going back to housing, but I still just feel it's such an important piece. So we want to make sure that we are providing a future for these kids and for future families, that, you know, that we're keeping our schools strong. You know, that they're the cornerstone of excellence, so that, you know, when they have children, they're going to feel good about putting their children in school here. We've got to continue to thinking about our future. And a lot of times people come that are born here, like my kids, have moved. Some of them have moved away, but they wanted to know that they would be able to stay here and raise their children here as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. We have another question from the audience, and we will start with Ms. Rader. Regarding the Jackson County property tax issue, what do you see is the threat to the financial well-being of the city?
Okay, repeat that again, please.
Regarding the Jackson County property tax issues, what do you see is the threat to the financial well-being of the city?
Higher taxes. Just more and more and more taxes is a threat to the city. We've definitely got to get that in line. Now, it's not something that we can really do in our purview with the city, but I would say that one thing would be incentives. So we know that incentives are going to directly impact our taxes. And that's why we've got to be very fiscal and responsible with how we use those. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Lopez.
Because we have a good retail and use tax base, I don't think we'll feel the pain as bad as other communities around us. However, when the county makes their decision to provide rebates to homeowners, that's going to hurt our general fund, the revenue that we collect for the city, which could impact services, absolutely. So that could be very damaging for our city, but that's why we need to continue to look down the road to keep generating sales tax so that it can offset some of those, the deficiencies from the county. So, thanks.
Thank you. Final question, Mr. Lopez, you'll be first. As mayor, what changes, if any, would you like to see with the current charter?
As I've said before in other similar settings, the charter review process was created many years ago. That's a process for citizens to be involved. And my opinion and council members' opinion really should not influence what happens on that charter review committee. I don't have anything specifically that I think needs to change, but I think it's a very fair democratic process that our citizens can be involved in every 10 years. And I strongly support it, but I don't feel strong one way or another about any specific issue.
Thank you. Ms. Rader, as mayor, what changes, if any, would you like to see with the current city charter?
I'm going to agree that we need to let the Charter Commission make those decisions. I don't want to impact anything or influence anything. That this is important for them to be able to be free to think and act on whatever they feel that we need to.
Thank you. Now each mayoral candidate will have an opportunity to provide any closing remarks. Please keep your comments to 2 minutes or less. We will reverse the order used during the opening remarks, beginning with Cynda Rader.
Thank you, and thank you again for the Chamber for sponsoring this event. So in conclusion, you know how people ask, what are you going to do for us when you're mayor? I'm going to tell you. First is housing. Our council and staff have taken positive steps, but we must do more and quickly. Exploring innovative building practices like stick-ready and panelized construction offers beautiful and attainable opportunities. To be serious about helping more families achieve home ownership, we must be open to new ideas that move the needle. Apartments are no longer the long-term solution to attainable housing in Lee Summit. Second are incentives, which can be a valuable tool, but they must be used wisely and with full transparency. For major projects, I want to see stronger vetting and including independent third-party feasibility studies. The concept plans from developers should be more detailed so we can better understand what they are proposing. Remember, zoning decisions are the most important decisions that the City Council makes. We don't react to development, we shape it. Third, seeking and recruiting businesses and industry that will be in partnership with us will bring us high-quality jobs, and that's going to be a top priority. We can't sit on the sidelines while cities around us procure companies that could come here. As the mayor, getting into lockstep with our Economic Development Council will be critical to finding new opportunities. Throughout this campaign, I've spent time listening and talking with residents, sharing ideas and learning what matters most to you. We hear again and again that people want authentic leadership. They want honesty, integrity, and they want leaders who will work for them as the taxpayer. That's who I am. It's how I've lived my life, how I've built my business, and how I will serve you as mayor. I would be honored to earn your vote on April 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez?
Yeah, thank you. So earlier you asked me what my answer would be, why I would be the most qualified individual to be the next mayor, and I blew your answer. But I wrote myself a note. And I start with what I started with at the beginning when I opened up, that to me, with again, how dynamic and how complex it is and how fast the city's growing, I think experience and proven leadership is something you all need to consider. And I've done it for 8 years on council. I did it on the planning commission when a lot of these big initiatives, a lot of the projects that are being built now was vision and foresight 10 years ago to make sure that our major roads were ready and prepared to take on new traffic and these potential projects, not knowing what was going to go there. Now we have a Costco going on at 150 and I'm sorry, 291 and 50 highway. That was foresight. As mayor, I will continue to stick to what the citizens wish. And these strategic plans are very impactful. It's not just Beto's ideas, it's all of us collectively. We have to figure this out together. The housing is a challenge again across the country. And where we have built apartments have been these targeted active areas that were outlined in the strategic plan that called for mixed use of development, commercial, residential, restaurants, different types of housing. That's what we've done. We've not built apartments everywhere. In this area right here, right behind the railroad tracks, you see all the light industrial buildings. 8 years ago, we had 0 square feet of industrial space, 0. You talk about bringing in jobs. We weren't bringing in jobs 8 years ago. Now we have over 3 million square feet of light industrial space. That's political will. That's leadership. And I will continue to grow our city very responsibly so that we can protect our future. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for being here this evening and participating in tonight's forum. We also again thank the Missouri Innovation Campus for the wonderful hospitality and this evening's sponsors. Life Goals Strategies Group, Rodney Loesch, Missouri Association of Trial Attorneys, St. Luke's Health System, and Tingle Flooring for partnering with the Chamber. We appreciate you, our audience, for attending this evening. Your engagement and interest in being part of this important and worthwhile process help build our community. Lastly, the Lee Summit Chamber has done its part by introducing the candidates to the community. Now we ask that you exercise your right to vote on Tuesday, April 7th. Thank you again, and best to all of our candidates.